about $12 million, okay, and one of the other lawmakers, that she thought was trying to get half of that, all right? It's also been a conversation that California Black Freedom Fund, they were supposed to get $6 million, okay? How do all this connect? And why do these things happen? Because it seems like amongst everything, there's a fight over money. That $12 million we're talking about, okay? So we're talking about giving $6 million to the California State University system. We're talking about giving $6 million to Brother Phil Park's organization. And we're talking about $6 million that was supposed to go to the agency. So you don't have to answer those questions. I would make that statement if you want to step out and answer. Was those serious things about that? Go ahead.
Other questions, comments, statements? We're hearing from folks.
I just wanted to clarify that what we wanted to be able to do is create space to stop the Q&A back and forth and allow people to speak and bring in a way that we can have that. So I'm happy to answer that question separately from that, but we're not going to do it right now.
Mr. Marvell?
Yes, I would like to say that I think it's very important for everyone to do what we can do to assuage suspicion, because suspicion has become a guardrail for us to be able to communicate well and understand each other. So when that bill did not go to the floor, suspicion was high, and to date, we're not clear about precisely why it happened the way it happened. And we're probably going to walk away with the same suspicion. So if anyone has the ability to assuage suspicion clearly, then we might be able to cooperate with each other henceforth. But until that time, the suspicion is probably going to be a barrier for us to be able to get to the trust factor that we talked about earlier. So trust, transparency, and clarity and understanding about why that happened is probably the most important thing that could happen before we leave.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. I have a sister in the back here. You raise your hand.
I also had a follow-up question about the $12 billion, since the CLBC says that they do everything as a unified front. Did all members sign on to the letter stating that the $6 billion should go to Freedom Fund and the universities? Was everybody sign on to that letter? Yes, that's my question.
Thank you. There's another question. I saw a statement, but again, I just want to remind people that they're not responding, they're just listening. So
Okay.
please make a statement.
Ms. Wilson?
I'm not Ms. Wilson. I'm Assemblymember Mia Bonta. I represent
Bonta?
8018 Oakland Avenue.
Bonta, McCarthy, and Jackson. McCarthy and Jackson, I got right? I just wanted to apologize for my outburst. I understand now, it's kind of explained to me after the meeting, so I want to apologize to each and every one of you. I am sorry.
Thank you. Tariq?
I don't want to apologize to none of you. The political theater, the treating us like political property, freaking Gavin Newsom saying we owe y'all apologies. No, y'all owe all of us an apology. The stuff that we saw in the Capitol, Reggie Wilson acting like a clown because we know he is one, all the silly stuff that we saw is ridiculous. Understand there's going to be consequences beyond just political, I promise you that. So don't think that you're insulated, you're not. And I'm going to also make this very clear. You guys better move very, very, very carefully when you play with reparations. Because reparations is nothing to play with.
Thank you, Tariq.
Yes.
I'm sorry, please.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Dr. Chrisy Hain. I'm a founding member and executive director of Safe Black Space. We are a nonprofit organization that was established after the tragic killing here in Sacramento of Stephon Clark. I'm also an African-centered psychologist, and I was one of the invited expert witnesses that spoke around reparations and the mental health consequences. And they are real, and that is what we are seeing and feeling in this room right now. And so I appreciate the conversation, the opportunity to step away from some of the traditional ways that we conduct meetings so that the community can be heard. And I appreciate the initial conversation I think that you brought up about bringing together the legislatures as well as the community and finding ways that we can communicate that allows everyone to be heard, acknowledged, and to recognize the true impact of the enslavement on us then and now. And with that, I will take a pause, but just I'm grateful for the opportunity. Hope that we will continue this dialogue, as well as have some concrete steps about how you all in your leadership roles will continue and how the community can continue to be engaged as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hagan. Kula.
There's real pain. I was supposed to be on the community panel, and I suggested, can we please stop the community panel so that people will have a chance to talk. Mark, I'm disappointed because this isn't community. We're downtown Sacramento. There's places where we could have been, where we actually could have brought people to hear about all the great data that she shared. There's trust that is broken because when you answer questions, when y'all answer questions, people know that there's more behind it, so just say it. Say the unvarnished truth. People understand when you're saying something, they're like, that's not all of it. And that's what the trust is broken. And you can't, the panel was supposed to talk about building power and healing and repair, but you can't build power if you're not healed. And I just hope that we can do this differently next time, which is where we actually are having folks come, like, not have to drive downtown, pay for parking. We can spread the word and invite a bunch of people who would love to hear this data and love to actually have real conversations. This was a missed opportunity, and I'm disappointed.
Thank you, Kula. I have Omar.
Yes, thank you. Piggybacking on what the doctor said, I'm hoping that you guys can really get a organized accountability spreadsheet where the people and the public can see these are the concerns that the caucus has. These were the recommendations that were made, the 115. Give yourself a goal and an outline that the people can see. That way we can trust you guys more and know that if you guys have to take some type of secret oath, people talk about AIPAC and how Israel has impacted our government, the 535 congressmen and women that have to say an oath to Israel that that military is above the United States military. There's a lot of things that go on that people in the know, but some people don't know that we know. And if we need to protect you all, we will. Like the young man said, we will protect you guys. But you gotta give us some real accountability, a real website where we can see these are the concerns. These are the 115 recommendations. These are the members who have agreed to do this part, this part, this part. These are the members that are against doing this part, this part, this part. So that the people can talk to those members and say, hey members, the people have spoken, we need this done. We are trusting in you guys to organize what we would like to have happen. You have the recommendations, so please give us that transparency and not just say, oh, it's gonna take 10 years, it's gonna take 15 more years. No, we want accountability. Within 2 years, we promise the people that we're gonna get this part done. Within 2 more years, we promise we're gonna get this part done. By year 5, we have the Freedmen Bureau and all these things have been checked off the list, and these are the people that agree. And the ones that don't, they're going to be held accountable to the people. And I yield the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Omar. I have the brother right next to you, and then there's the sister. Is that in yellow? What did you have your hand? I don't see it anymore.
It's yellow. I was just going to second everything she said.
Okay, all right. We are at time, so please.
Won't take more than a minute.
Okay.
My name's Charlton Curry.
Yes,
I
sir.
own Big C Sports Podcast Corporation. I talk professional sports and reparations to get our athletes who are multimillionaires to be a part of this push. I do appreciate all of you talking and coming here today, but just like I just took your survey, I want to ask all of you, how important is reparations on your mind on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the most important? Where does it rank?
we're not answering questions, but I want to keep going because I see there are other hands. I want to go to Luke right here.
Luke Blackburn with California Black Power Network. We've gotten some major wins since 2020, and Prop 6 is a really big win that is coming up this year. So I just want to thank you guys for our work, our collaboration between the people power and then also the power within the legislature. So, I mean, there's so much that can be happening in the next 4 years and even beyond that. So it's super exciting to see what we've won here, and we should take time to acknowledge it and really see the importance in it. And I think that's a really positive thing that we can celebrate together. So hopefully Prop 6 passes, and with some people power and a little bit of legislation, we got this. So that's a positive thing.
Chris?
So, thank you, brother. I'm going to say something about Prop 6, but I want to say, first of all, you had a slide earlier that said, and there was a comment earlier about how the movement for reparations began with the George Floyd murder.
That was the question. That was the question. I read it verbatim. Just want to be clear about
But it
that.
was also stated in some of the response, I think, by Member Jackson. That's false. That's
Absolutely false.
I worked on the bill to create the task force. We started that work in 2019.
Yep.
A whole year before George Floyd was killed.
Facts.
A whole year. I walked into Dr. Weber's office May of 2019. I met Maureen Simmons and Anthony DiMartino, and we worked on the language of the bill together. That's a whole year before George Floyd. The work of the reparations movement in California comes from the people, and it comes from before the George Floyd killings. That's the first part. Second part, to the brother's point, the Prop 6 work, the ACA 8 work, doesn't come from the caucus either. We started that work in 2021, where we fought for that bill and lost on the Senate floor, and then came back this year and got it done. So the work of what is now Prop 6 does not come from the Black Caucus. It does not come from the California Reparations Task Force, even though the task force picked that up as one of their recommendations. It comes from the people. That's the second point. Thirdly, can't tell you how disappointed I am in each and every single one of you. I have to say that. The way that you handled SB 1403 and SB 1331 was a disgrace. It was horrible. Mr. McCarty, how can you be the mayor of Sacramento if you work to kill a reparations bill in the state assembly? How can you seek to be the mayor of a city with the third, fourth highest black population in the state by percentage, but you helped kill one of the reparations bills? How can we vote for you? Member Bonta, you had 1331 in your hands. It doesn't matter what the governor said. We don't send you there to do what the governor said. We don't send you there to do things only the governor likes. If that's the case, then the governor is picking which bills come to him. We send you there to do what the people say. If the governor did not like the bills, you still have the power to override them anyway. So, I'm very, very disappointed in your action. And I spoke to you in the rotunda, I think it was that Thursday. And you told me it was above your pay grade about what the decision was about 1331 and 1403. But from what I understand, at your internal meeting of the caucus the Friday before the last day, like Saturday, all three of you voted not to take the bills up. You stopped one of your own reparations bills that you had your own names on. That is disgraceful. It is horrible. It is wrong. You have committed a political harm to the people. Your strategy has already failed. The strategy that you laid out, that three-part, acknowledge, apologize, acknowledge, atone, and the part where you said you want to get easy wins to start, that has already failed. It's already backfired, because now you pissed off the people who you need to actually get it done. That is clearly already failed. How can we trust you? How can we trust you when we know you'll kill one of your own bills if the governor doesn't like it, or if you're mad at each other in some way internally? How can we trust you? How can we work together? How can we get aligned now? The responses that you've given here today, and I'm going to wrap it up, the responses that you've given here today have been insufficient. They have been disrespectful to the people, and they have contributed to the harm, and they have weakened whatever trust was still there. you have done wrong by the people today. Your colleague's not here, Assemblymember Tina McKenna. She put out an op-ed after her disgraceful behavior that day, blaming your fellow caucus members and blaming the people. Your fellow colleague, Senator Lolis Mogul Cuevas, put out an op-ed last week blaming the people. How dare you blame the people? How dare you for what you did? The governor, despite what he said, I know it's bullshit because we spoke to the governor's staff the days leading up to the vote, and they were frustrated at you all. They told us that y'all couldn't get y'all shit together, and that they were concerned that they literally asked us, is there anything y'all can do to help the caucus coalesce? Because they are disorganized, they are disunified, there's no leadership, and the governor is frustrated that he is in the position to have to pick which reparations bills have and who gets what money. We can get to a place where we do better. I want you to know that. We absolutely can. But the first thing you gotta do is stop doing harm. Stop doing the harm that you're doing. And you have been doing harm for this whole meeting. We can get to a good place. But it has to start with y'all stopping the damn harm in the damn first place and acknowledging that you have committed a harm. You have mentioned, Member Bonta, about people being attacked, and somebody else mentioned people going to somebody's house and all that. We don't support none of that. We don't do none of that. That doesn't help. That doesn't help. We don't participate in none of that. We work politically only. And we tell everybody who work with us, we only do political work. That's it. So, but what's not going to happen is you're not going to use a few bad actors to then suppress our advocacy. That's not going to happen. Let me say last thing. You must reintroduce the bills next year. Some kind of agency bill, some kind of fund bill. But as I said to some folks earlier, the price went up now. The price just went up. We want more now. We need a bill for the cash payments. We need a bill for the checks. Okay? We don't want to hear it's too hard. Somebody don't like it. The government don't like it. We got to work piece by piece. No, our people are dying on the streets right now. As I was telling the family, nobody can eat no apologies. Nobody's paying their rent with no apologies. Ain't nobody buying no groceries with no apologies. Nobody's coming out of prison with no apologies. Ain't nobody coming off the street from being unhoused with no apologies. An apology is bullshit. You apologize with your actions. You do better, and that's how you show that you're sorry. Do better. Last thing, brother. Last thing. Listen. Also, your bills this year that you introduced are not reparations. They are racial equity rebranded as reparations. Let me tell you what y'all not going to do. You're not going to take my ancestors 150 years or 200 plus years of working for nothing and being tortured and sexually assaulted and human trafficked and kidnapped, terrorized. You are not going to take my ancestors' inheritance and then rebrand it and give it to every damn body else. It's disrespectful. None of your bills are specific to the descendants of the people who enslaved in this country. Not one of them. That's disrespectful. That's disrespectful. Every bill needs to be specifically for the descendants of the people whose ancestors were enslaved and emancipated in this country. If it don't have that, at least don't call it reparations. Do not call it reparations, and do not try to change any of that specificity, especially in the agency bill and especially in the fund bill that you reintroduce next year. Do not change who this is for. Let me stop there.
I want to conclude our program now. I appreciate the opportunity for y'all to share because I think that is the foundation for us to be able to begin to move forward. I do think that we cannot stay there. Otherwise, there'll be this swirling, right? And you won't get what you want, they won't get what they want. I do think this is a groundbreaking opportunity.
Yes.
You know, at no point in the legislature's history, as far as I know, at least in this modern era, has the caucus been organized in this way to be able to open itself up to dialogue and be in conversation with communities throughout the state on these topics in a way that is not governed as a hearing. That is a really important thing for us to grapple with. So this is the first step. It is not perfect by any stretch. These are not perfect people. This is not a perfect caucus. It's not a perfect legislature. The Freedom Fund isn't perfect. We are not beyond reproach. And I appreciate the spirit in which this conversation is being had, because it's about all of us getting to a goal that is bigger than any of us can achieve alone. But we have to make space for each other in that. We have to make space for each other to have a more expansive vision for repair. We have to make space for people to participate in the process in a way that is befitting of what role they have in their community, in government, in whatever sector they occupy. And that requires a lot of patience. That requires a lot of understanding and sitting with people. I went to that community meeting last night knowing that people was pissed. But I'm from the community. I'm from the community. All right? So none of that ever makes me any never mind. But I do believe that we all have something to offer. It's not about just the loudest person in the room or the most powerful person in the room. And the line that I'm holding is that I'm creating space for all of us. Okay? I'm creating space for all of us. And I'm thankful for the opportunity to be able to do that in partnership with the caucus. Because they could have told me no, and then I would have just been having these meetings without them, and we would have been somewhere way out in who knows where, without the expertise, the guidance, the leadership, and the power that they have access to. Because, like it or not, we have to rely on them to be able to move forward any agenda on repair. It's not coming from the Republicans. It's not coming from people who are what we might call blue dog Democrats. It's not coming from anyone else other than the Black caucus. So again, I'm not here to defend anybody or defend our institutions, but I just want to be honest about what the reality is that we're wrestling with. So we all have choices to make around how we decide to engage. And those engagement practices have consequences. And as long as we all comfortable sitting with those, have at it. But again, I am creating space for all of us. The Freedom Fund is committed to being a partner to ensure that all voices are at the table. And that's what we've been doing, convening, partnering with the caucus to make sure that at every level, people have an opportunity to have a say. And so with that, I thank you for your time. I thank you for participating in this conversation. As difficult as that may have been for some of you, your participation, your contributions were most welcome. And we look forward to you joining us at other stops along this tour. We'll be in Oakland, we'll be in Moreno Valley, and we know that members of those communities have a lot to share. And we ask that you respect their comments and their contributions in the same way that we have respected yours today. Thank you.